Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whatever or at whatever time you're watching. Welcome to this channel, and today we're going to be learning about primary auxiliaries or primary auxiliary verbs. Remember, we have two types. We have primary auxiliary verbs and we have secondary auxiliary verbs. So today we're going to be looking at primary auxiliary verbs, and these are the verbs do, be, and have. Auxiliary verbs are helping verbs, and sometimes they are used as main verbs. So primary auxiliary verbs are used in the formation of various grammatical constructions, and they carry little meaning for themselves. We're going to look at primary auxiliary verbs as helping verbs, and then later we're going to look at them as main verbs. So let's start with primary auxiliary verb be. It has various forms. The first form is be, been, being, am, was, is, are, and were, as indicated below. The functions of be: 1, we have they show continuous tense, something that is continuous. For example, they are studying pollution. They are studying pollution. So it means that they are still continuing to study pollution. She is going to visit her dad. So even as we are talking at this moment, she is going to visit her dad. So the function number 1, we've said it is to show continuous tense. Function number 2 is to show passive voice. To show passive voice. And remember, we have active voice and passive voice. So for passive voice, we do not really concentrate on the doer of the action. We concentrate on the verb. So for example, the class was cleaned yesterday. Who did it? We don't know, but we even do not want to know. The class was cleaned yesterday. The parents' room is considered the most private. By who? It's not a must to tell us by who. Our class is considered the best in debates. So who considers it the best in debate? We do not know, but in passive voice we do not concentrate on who. Rather, we concentrate on the object. Let's move on to... No, before we move on to the other verb, to the other auxiliary verb, let's do over the functions of the verb be. Number 1, we've said it is to show continuous tense, and number 2, to show passive voice. So the second one is have. It has various forms. We have itself, has, and done. So the functions of the verb have are, number 1, they are used to show perfect tense. What is perfect tense? Let me give you 1 or 2 seconds to think of what it is. Perfect tense indicates that an action occurred earlier than the time we are speaking about them. So maybe an action had occurred some minutes earlier than the time you are speaking. So that is what we call perfect tense. Example, I have cleaned it today. I have cleaned the room today. Justin had seen her. So Justin had already seen her. So when we are talking about Justin seeing her, it was earlier than the time we are speaking. So the function of have is to show perfect tense. Then we move on to verb do. The form of do, it has various forms: do itself, does, and did. The functions of the verb do are: number one, for negation. Negation is when you put the word not in your sentences. For example, he did not come. He did not eat. Yeah, so that is the function number one of the verb do, the auxiliary verb do. That is to show negation. And number two, to give emphasis or giving emphasis. Example, we have a conversation or a dialogue between Tom and Tony. And Tom is asking Tony, Tony, why didn't you clean the house? Tony replies, but I did clean the house. So Tony's answer is trying to show us that he is emphasizing that he cleaned the house. I did, but I did clean the house, meaning he is emphasizing that he cleaned the house, but I did clean the house. So the functions of the verb or the auxiliary verb do is to show negation and emphasis. So we have looked at auxiliary verbs. The first function was as helping verbs. Remember, we said auxiliary verbs can be used as helping verbs, and they can also be used as main verbs. So when we use them as main verbs, we do not have any other verb. So it is the auxiliary verb being used as the main verb. So I want to show you this primary auxiliary verbs as main verbs. So the examples I have here are: Kericho is famous for its rolling green hills. Kericho is famous for its rolling green hills. So is has been used as the main verb. Carissa did exemplary work in the garden. Did exemplary work in the garden. Did has been used as the main verb because there is no other verb there. This gadget has two main functions. Has been used as the main verb. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the content, and I hope that you have understood what we were talking about. Let me sum it up for you in a bit. So we've said primary auxiliary verbs are used as helping verbs, and sometimes they're used as main verbs. We said they carry little meaning for themselves. And we've said primary auxiliary verbs are used as helping verbs, and we have given the functions when they are being used as the helping verbs. We've said be has different forms, and the verb be has various functions to show continuous tense and to show passive voice. Then we've said have has various forms, as you can see. The functions of the verb have are used to show perfect tense, and do shows negation and also gives emphasis. And we've also said that primary auxiliary verbs can be used as main verbs. We also said verbs or auxiliaries have to are divided into two, or there are two types of verbs. We've said we have primary auxiliary verbs, and we also have secondary auxiliary verbs, of which are also known as modal auxiliary verbs. So next time we're going to be looking at the modal auxiliary verbs. If you've loved the content, kindly like and share. Goodbye.